Hello everyone, welcome to all of you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. For those who are gearing up for prelims 2021, I hope you know how many days are remaining now, and I really hope that you are kicking your preparation, you are kick-starting your preparation in the highest gear possible. This lecture series we will do all the MCQs which have appeared in the past 10 years. So right since 2011 till 2020 paper, we'll go through all those MCQs with respect to economics and agriculture. Now, one thing I would like to say that agriculture is a very multi-dimensional topic. Most of it is relating to geography also, some of it relates to human geography also, and some of it also relates to environment part. So whatever I feel it relates to economics or the economics of agriculture, I have included in this. Other questions might be covered in environment or geography as the case may be. Similarly, some social questions might fall here, some social questions might fall in social justice. Similarly, some international relations might fall here or current affairs might fall here, some might fall in their respective domains. Right? So whatever is overlapping with economy or economic in nature, we will cover it here. Right? Now, what this lecture will give you or what this session will give you is how we can approach MCQs, how the MCQs are constructed. We will see the anatomy of MCQs and the options. It is never the questions which make it tough to solve, it is the options, right? And the most commonly used method, or rather the most easiest method and the most rewarding method, is by elimination. So you eliminate the wrong option and you arrive at the right answer. Because out of 4 statements, there is a possibility that even if you have covered everything, you might know 2 or 3. One statement might not be known to you. One more thing to remember is that the question which might seem very easy to you might be very difficult for the person sitting next to you or in front of you. The question which might seem very difficult to you might be that person sitting behind you has read it yesterday only, or he knows it fresh in his mind. But always keep one thing in mind, that there are some questions which are tough for everyone, which are unseen for everyone, and nobody knows 100 of the questions which appear in the exam. So don't worry about it. Now, economics is a very dangerous subject with respect to human perception. So when you go to solve an economics MCQ, somewhere down the line you think that I don't know this concept, or I don't know, I can't understand this. That is a very wrong approach. You go to an MCQ with a very neutral state of mind. This exam is not only a test of knowledge or your learning ability and concepts, it is also a test of your temperament, how calm you are in the exam. So if you know all the answers, be calm, be calm. If you don't know any answers, still be calm, go through it, go through the entire paper. The moment 2 hours are finished, then you start showing your emotions, extra happiness, dance, or extra crying, whatever you want to do after 2 hours. In those 2 hours, be like a surgeon, a surgery. A doctor does surgery with a very, very calm and very focused attitude. Whatever he is feeling, after 2 hours, he will let go of the feeling. So even if you don't, or if you can't understand a question, you don't know, in the exam, in those 2 hours, it is very important you stay calm, right? If you panic, the ones which you know, that also might get wrong, because you might overthink, you might start overthinking, you might start panicking. You will learn that much time is not left, only half an hour is left, and let's say 50 MCQs are remaining or 40 MCQs are remaining, right? So please don't fall into all these traps, just stay calm. If a question is easy, be happy, mark it and move on, but don't be overjoyed and don't be overexcited, don't be overconfident, right? So we will be starting with economics and agriculture, some part of agriculture we will be covering, and we will be going backwards from 2020 right up to 2011. For any doubts, you can message me anytime, or you can reach out to Level Up, or I also have a Telegram channel, so you can reach out, and any doubt you have, I will help you out. Okay? What this lecture is not, please bear in mind, this lecture is not a teaching class. So I will not be teaching the concepts. I will give you introduction ki this is the concept, but I will not be teaching you the concept in its entirety, because normally one economic concept takes at least 15-20 minutes to half an hour to teach, right? We have approximately 15 to 20 questions per paper, and 10 years mein 200 questions ho jate, right? To discuss 200 questions, even if we give 2 minutes to every question, is 400 minutes. Now you only calculate how many hours will it take, right? So don't expect a lot of conceptual discussion here, because this is not a teaching class, but expect lot of practical discussion on how to solve MCQs without knowing the concept. Because many times, especially in environment, culture and economy, you will have to do things ki you don't know this, but still we might try to arrive at the answer. right? It is expected that you have a basic understanding. It is expected that you have read basic books, read current affairs at a certain level, or if you are watching it for the first time before starting your preparation, or you have just started your preparation, this will also help you in your in guide to your studies, right? How to study, what not to study, what kind of questions are asked in the exam. See, I always say that you should know the exam before you start the preparation. So this is knowing the exam. What is the battlefield, right? Who is the bowler, who is the batsman? Before knowing that, how can you go and play? Okay? We'll start with 2020, right? Now, one more thing. All the questions which I have taken here are from set A papers, official question papers I have referred to, and from set A. Okay? All the answer keys I have referred to except 2020, all the answer keys I have referred to are official answer keys by UPSC. 2020 answer key is not yet released. It will be released when final list will be released by UPSC. After that, answer key comes normally. So, except 2020, all the answer keys are from official sources only, right? I'll also show you how some questions are poorly drafted. Some questions have controversial answers. That is all fine, that is all expected. See, you can expect 5 to 6 to 7 maximum questions out of 100 which are controversial, which are subject to various interpretations by different people. Okay? But the thing is that those 7 questions are subject to interpretation for all of you, no, who are giving the exam. So don't think that you are at a disadvantage. Everyone is at a disadvantage. And when everyone is at a disadvantage, there is equal level playing field in the exam, right? Maximum 5 to 7 questions. At the same time, our normal attempt should be at least 85 questions if the paper is of an average moderate difficulty level. If it is extremely difficult that nobody knows anything, then it might drop to 80 also. But the moment your attempts drop below 80 or 84 questions, the chances of you getting into the list are very slim. We always focus on accuracy, that whatever I'll solve, I'll get it right. But the questions are such that you cannot get 60 out of 60 right, 70 out of 70 right. You cannot do. Okay? You have to take risk. Okay? What is the safe score? What is considered as a safe score? 120 is considered as a safe score. Just a rough estimate, out of 200, 120 is a safe score. To get 120, you have to get net 60 correct questions. Net 60 correct, which means after reducing the negative marking, net 60 aayega, then into 120 marks, right? In a paper, short, like 100% you will know the answer to maximum 40 questions. I know this, I have read this, I have revised this. 40, 42. 40 questions will give you 80 marks. Safe score is 120. 80 to 120 is the competition. Below 80 is not the competition. 80 to 120 is the competition. Those who get from 80 to 120, they are through the exam. Okay. Now, those who get from 80 to 120, do you think they know all the answers to net 60 correct? No, they don't. Risk is taken, calculated risk is taken, logical risk is taken. Sometimes it fires, sometimes it misfires, right? But risk should be taken. And always remember, if you get 1 right, you get 2 marks, right? And if you get 1 wrong, it is 1/3. So you can take risk, but at the same time, don't be very adventurous when you're solving the paper. Okay? Let us start. Next. First question, I will give you 1 minute to read and then I'll start discussing the question. Just read the question on your own. Try to read the question on your own. Each and every word of the question has to be read with equal weightage. You cannot make any mistake in reading the question. That is the most silliest mistake ever. Sometimes not is asked, which of the following is not applicable. So you cannot make those mistakes. Those mistakes, human errors, will cost you a lot. Already paper itna tough hai. Plus we are making it more tough by reading casually. Please pay attention and read. Okay. This is a fairly straightforward question. Anyone who has a basic understanding of FRBM, budget, fiscal policy, FRBM, knows that this was added. Macroeconomic framework statement is presented as a part of provisions of the FRBM Act. This is basic understanding. If you don't know, then please revisit your concepts. Please go back to the chapter and read it. There are 4 statements which are presented under FRBM and this is one of them, right? Fiscal policy strategy statement, medium term expenditure framework statement, etc., etc. Macroeconomic framework statement is also one of them. Okay, so this is provisions of the FRBM Act 2003. Now in the exam, don't get confused between Article 112 and FRBM Act. This is annual financial statement and this is money bill and this is FRBM Act. Okay, macroeconomic framework statement is under FRBM Act, strictly under FRBM Act. Is it okay? Next, read the question very quickly. The answer is D. Read the question very quickly. This is also a very factual question, right? You have to know what comprises of foreign exchange reserves. RBI, our central bank, has foreign exchange reserves, and what are they comprised of? So they are comprised of currency, they are comprised of foreign gold, they are comprised of other things, and one of the things among them is IMF reserve tranche. Okay, even if you don't know gold tranche, reserve tranche they have given in the bracket just to clarify. Normally IMF reserve tranche and SDR, these are the components of foreign currency. Okay, see C option you can straight away eliminate because WTO ka credit system doesn't make sense in reserve tranche. Then you can be confused between A and D, right? But this is straightforward credit system granted by IMF to its members, straightforward. Okay, reserve tranche, gold tranche, what is it? It is your own money, India's own money with IMF to be used in case of emergency. When India faces any emergency, we can tell IMF ki I have my emergency money with you, give it to me. Straightforward, we will go ahead because we have a lot to cover. So we will go ahead. The answer is again D. Read this next question. See, it seems like a very difficult question because you might not know what happened and we don't study data in depth. Especially 1991 economic liberalization is a mains oriented topic, and this minute data, productivity, what happened to productivity, what happened to rural employment, we might not study. Okay. One thing we know or one thing we can guess logically is the third statement. In rural areas, growth in non-farm economy increased. When LPG happens, you get other opportunities also, other investment comes in rural economy, and then farmers try to shift from agriculture to non-agriculture. I hope you know this has been the aim, and this is the aim of government also, because a lot of people are dependent, still 54% workforce is dependent on agriculture, yet it contributes only 17% to the gross value added, right? So 3 we are sure, or logically if you want to take a guess, you can be ki 3 theek hai. So once you select 3, in rural areas growth in non-farm economy increased, D and A gets eliminated, automatically D and A get eliminated. When D and A get eliminated, 3 by default becomes correct. Now you have to think about fourth one. The growth rate in rural employment decreased. Okay? Now here you might not have an idea, nobody has an idea. When actually solving the paper, people don't have an idea. Okay, this was given in economic survey, but nobody looks at the graphs, the charts and the tables in this much detail. Itne detail mein nobody looks. Okay, so now you, honestly speaking, I'll be very brutally honest with you, you have to take a guess here between B and C. See, the moment you eliminate 2 options and you reach 2 remaining, you have to solve that question. Then only you can get that 85-90 attempts. Okay, otherwise there are many questions, most of the questions you will be stuck in 2 options. Right? You have to take a guess, either go with 3, 4 or go with 3 only. Okay, now you can go with C, you can go with B. Now luck is your, because this is a very difficult thing. The growth rate in rural employment decreased. Normally we read and we feel that aisa nahi hona chahiye because LPG reforms boosted everything, LPG reforms were positive. I know it had a negative impact on agri sector overall, but they are talking about rural sector here, right? So growth rate in rural employment decreased. Aisa you might know, you might not know. The answer key according to the economic survey, if you go and if you see the charts and all, then the fourth statement is absolutely right. So the answer is B, 3 and 4 only. Okay, but honestly speaking, you can take a guess. And you know, you can take a guess. This statement I'll be using in 2020, 19, 18 papers. Before that, hardly any question was there in which you had to take a guess. So recently they have started asking these minute questions. But okay, these are tough for everyone, so don't complain. Okay, B is the answer. Next, read the question. Try to attempt this question on your own and then we'll discuss. I'll give you 10-15 more seconds. See in the exam, how many questions you get? 100 questions. How much time you get? 120 minutes. So per question you have a little over 1 minute. Okay, considering 65-70 seconds per question to read, to reread, to see the options and to think and to mark. You have 1 minute 10 seconds. Right, so you won't get much time in the exam. And now when you are seeing this video, you are at home or you are in your library, you are sitting comfortably, you are seeing this video. In the exam, 1000 thoughts will come running because you have revised all the subjects one day beforehand and pressure is there. You are seeing everyone solve the paper. You are telling yourself, this is the day I have to perform. You are self-mounting yourself with the pressure, right? So in those times, easy questions also tend to become difficult. Now you might see, Mare, this is simple, very simple. Yes, B is the answer. It's not the case in the exam. It is very difficult in the exam because of that pressure. Time pressure, performance anxiety, then you know, tough questions come. Always remember one more thing. The set you get A, B, C, D might also change your temperament. So sometimes science and tech questions are in the first half. The first 10 questions are science and tech. You might not know or you might be weak in science and tech. So don't worry. There are remaining 90 questions which you have to take care of. Sometimes let's say polity questions come in first and very easy simple polity questions come. You are very overjoyed, you are very excited. But then you come to know after 50 questions, tough questions are there. Questions are same, the only thing is they are randomized. Okay, sets mein they are randomized. So A set will have different set of questions appearing first. So similarly your set might also change your temperament. Keep a note of this, that if it is a difficult question, aage easy honge. If it's an easy question, aage you can expect difficult questions. Okay, chalo. Let's start. If another global financial crisis happens in the near future, which of the following actions are most likely to give some immunity to India? Now see, this shows a well drafted question. I'll show you how. Most likely word use किया है, which means not extreme statements, right? कि होगा ही, no guarantee. Economics, I have always told you, economics is not 1 + 1 = 2. It can be 3 also, it can be 4 also, it can be -1 also, right? Most likely they have said. So, which of the following are most likely to give some immunity? Some immunity, not full immunity. This is a well drafted question where things are left open for another possibility also. But they are also telling you ki what in substance maximum things will go, will be done, you know, to give some immunity. So we know that global financial crisis happens, which means what? What do you mean by global financial crisis? All other markets are dropping. When all other markets are dropping, one thing very easily happens, dollar gets pulled out of our economy. Everyone wants to go home. Okay, whenever an earthquake happens, whenever a flood happens, everyone wants to reach home safely. Similarly, money also has to reach home safely. So when global financial crisis happens, since we are dependent on foreign flows, inflow, outflow, current account, capital account, I hope you know these terms. Since we are dependent on that, whenever global crisis happens, they all run home. When they run home, our economy loses money, so we want to shield from that. Now think which will be done. Look at the third statement. Maintaining full capital account convertibility. Do you think this will shield us more or will make us more riskier? I hope you remember what is capital account convertibility. Capital account convertibility means least restrictions on capital account transactions, right? I hope you know what are capital account transactions: long-term loans, borrowings, advances, transactions. So when you have full capital account convertibility, which means there are no restrictions on inflow and outflow, which means outflow can happen very easily, which means the moment a global financial crisis happens, immediately outflow happens. So this will make us more riskier to global financial crisis, yes or no? How more risky? Because they will fly very quickly. We want to keep them here. We want them to stay here, right? But something happens, they will fly away quickly. So this makes us more risky or less risky? More risky. Okay, so we want immunity. So this might not give us immunity. So 3 gone, 3 gone, 3 gone. Answer is 1 by default becomes correct, and 1 if you read not depending on short term foreign borrowings is also correct. If you depend on short term borrowing, so you borrow for a short term, but immediately you have to repay it back within a year or 2 years, maybe short term. Okay? Now it comes to second, opening up to more foreign banks. Now there can be various interpretations. This is a very poorly drafted option. There can be various interpretations. If you open up to more foreign banks, which means कि foreign banks will have foreign exposures. When foreign banks will come to India, they will bring their exposures to India also. So if financial crisis happens, foreign banks will fail, yes or no? Yes or no? If global financial crisis happens, will foreign banks fail? Yes, foreign banks might fail, USA banks might fail, and that might affect India also, yes or no? Because our credit is also created by them. They are also playing with the money in India. So opening up to more foreign banks might not be very useful. So answer is A1 only. One more interpretation being कि if there are more foreign banks here, they bring a lot of capital and they shield us from the global financial crisis. Personally, I prefer the first wala this thing, because the moment you open up to more foreign banks, you expose yourself to foreign risks also. And when foreign banks fail, obviously, Bank of America's headquarter is facing a problem. Uska India branch will always obviously close. When it closes, what happens? Other banks also get affected because it is a circular flow of money. Right? When that happens, this will not give us immunity, this will make us more riskier. But we will wait for the official UPSC answer key. So it can be either 1 or 2 depending on the interpretation. See, you should be, honestly speaking, after 2017, you should be comfortable with the discomfort caused by UPSC in the exam. Are you getting this? You should enjoy the discomfort. You know this is a very tricky question, but theek hai, whatever you feel right, you mark it. It is not a straightforward question. Had we started from 2011 onwards, 99% questions are straightforward. Then this would seem very difficult. I am starting from 20 because first get familiar with uncomfortable questions. Then wo to 15, 16, 14, 13 are very easy questions apart from a few, 1 or 2 exceptions. Okay? So either A or B can be the answer depending on UPSC. I personally prefer A1 only because foreign banks bring foreign risks also, and we are speaking about immunity. Is it clear? Is it clear? So it can be B also, right? Next, read it very quickly. Read this. Now this at present will keep on changing. So this was in the context of 2020 before COVID times. Read this very quickly. Is this a question of balance of payment? Yes, it's a question of balance of payment. Yes or no? Did you read this? Okay. If you are studying regularly, if you are studying thoroughly, you know that majority of our foreign exchange earnings come from services. We run a surplus in our services account. Okay? Invisibles account. So why? Because we export IT services and everything. So we know that India's export of services are more than its import of services. Yeah, we know for sure. And this should be known. Otherwise, if it is not known, then this question becomes very shaky. Right? or else you should know India's merchandise exports are less than its merchandise imports. But at present, after that we had a current account surplus also, right? But they are talking about merchandise exports. Merchandise means goods. Goods are less. In COVID, after COVID, due to impact of COVID, our imports fell down sharply, and that is why we had merchandise surplus also for a while. Okay? So, third statement, we'll start with third statement. India's exports of services are more than its import of services. This should be known. Honestly speaking, this should be known. It makes your job easier. Otherwise, you have to take guesses. When this is known, either 3 only is the option or 1, 3 and 4 is the option. What is the fourth option? India suffers from an overall trade or current account deficit, right? Now, if you have studied the trends, we always have some kind of deficit. Before COVID taka, we had some kind of deficit always in the current account. After COVID, what happened? Imports fell sharply, so we had current account surplus also. But majorly we run current account deficit. Are you getting this? So again, this is a very contextual question. This answer might change 1 year down the line because current account figures might change again. So either this only is the answer, which means all other are wrong, or this and this is the answer, which means this is wrong. Right? India's imports of iron and steel have decreased in the recent years. Do you think we will decrease any imports? We don't decrease any imports unless it is COVID or pandemic. And recent years pucha. So we have not, it always keeps on increasing. So anyways, once you eliminate this also, you arrive at C and D. So C and D pe to pahunch gaye, which means you have to mark some answer. Now, if you read normal newspapers, mein aate rehta hai, and even in current affairs, compilations and all this keeps on coming, कि India suffers from an overall current account or trade account deficit. Now, after COVID, if the question is asked, after the impact of COVID was taken into account during calculation, we had surplus for a few months also. Then surplus was reduced also. Then it went negative also 1 month. Then it again went into positive. So this keeps on changing. Okay? India suffers from overall trade current account deficit. Yes. And see, India's merchandise exports are less than its merchandise imports. Normally, ये situation है. So the answer is 1, 3 and 4. Is this clear? Okay. Again, this requires some contextual understanding. So what do we require to answer this? Some trends. You should know current account trends. You should know what is current account first of all. You should also know services, merchandise, exports, ये सब है. But are you seeing that they are checking the concept here? कि do you know what is current account? Do you know कितना surplus है? What is the deficit? Right? Answer is D. Next, read it very quickly. One of the easier questions of 2020 paper. Okay? Done? The easiest thing that you will find in every book is this. WPI does not capture changes in prices of services, but CPI does. This is the difference between CPI and WPI. WPI does not have services because it is the wholesale level. CPI does have services, but not all services. So this question could be made tougher by saying that CPI has all the services, but not all services. But anyway, this is an easier question. So WPI does not capture changes in prices of services, but CPI does. Is this true? Yes, this is true. So if 2 is true, 3 only gets eliminated, 2 only, 1 and 2 only, 1, 2 and 3. Now this is what makes the question difficult. Had there been elimination of 2 options, something would have been easier. But because of this, you can only eliminate 1. Are you getting this? Here, out of 4 statements, you knew 1 and you eliminated 2 options. Here, out of 3 statements, you know 1 and still you are able to eliminate only 1 option. So this is what makes it tougher. Okay? Even if you don't know this, suppose I am assuming this is of a higher difficulty. Even if you don't know this, Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation and to decide on changing the key policy rates. Monetary policy ka basic is that they do inflation targeting. Which kind of inflation? I hope you are able to recollect, for those at least who have learned from me, who have taken my lectures. Which kind of inflation? CPI headline combined inflation. Do you remember this? CPI inflation, not WPI. RBI has now adopted. RBI used to adopt WPI earlier. Then it switched to CPI, saying that ultimately what the consumers face is what we should control. Okay? So RBI has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation. So this statement is absolutely wrong. So when this goes, this goes, this goes. Okay? Still you are left with two options. Can you see? This is a difficult question made by the options and not by the question. Okay? Now 2 only by default becomes correct. So if you eliminated this beforehand, you reach A and B anyway. So A and B pe to pahunch gaye, which means you have to mark this now. Okay? Weight of food in CPI is higher than that in WPI. If you know this, straightforward question, answer is 1 and 2. If you don't know this, go back to your roots and concepts of WPI and CPI. WPI is at a wholesale level. Would he require manufactured products and fuel and industrial products more or food more? He would require the other products more and consumer requires food more. Logically, you are taking a guess. See, I agree. If you don't know this, you are taking a guess. Yes, but this is how you take a guess. Don't say ki, haan, might be, might not be. But WPI is at an wholesale level, so industrial goods are more weightage. But compared to CPI, CPI mein kya hai? Food weightage is more. So weight of food in CPI is higher than that in WPI. Yes, and this is also mentioned in standard books. So don't think that this is coming out of the books. This is coming out of the books. This is current. The levels of deficits and all are current based. This is coming from the book. All of this is from the book. So the answer is A, 1 and 2. Okay, next question, read it quickly. Now this is a very conceptual question. If you are not clear with the concept, you will not be able to solve this question. It doesn't require any mugging of any fact, any recollection of any memory based statistics, nothing. It is just concept. If you know the concept, you know the answer. Chalo, read it. This is one of those easy questions where you read the question, you mark the answer. Okay. Now many of you will feel this is a tough question, but it is not. Once you know the concept, once you know the difference between FDI and FPI, foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. I have always told you foreign direct investment is when either he buys more than 10% of the share in the company or he opens his own shop in India. Yes or no? Is that a loan taken by someone? See, investment is never a loan. Okay? When you raise your share capital, it is not a loan, it is your capital. Loan may you have to repay interest. Do you have to pay interest on capital? You don't. You have to pay dividend, and that too not necessarily. Depends on the dividend policy of the company. So foreign direct investment is where Amazon will come to India and open its shop, or Amazon will invest more than 10% in the share capital of an already existing company. But the thing is, it is not giving loan to an Indian company. It is investing in an Indian company's share capital. It is becoming the owner. Right? So when you start your own business, I have always told that business is a separate entity than the owner. So do you think business will say it is my loan? It is not my loan. It is a liability. Surely it's a liability. I hope you are relating these words. It's a liability, but it's not a loan. Okay? It is the investment through capital instruments essentially in a listed company. This is the very essence of FPI, foreign portfolio investment, not foreign direct investment. Right? It is largely non-debt creating. It is investment which involves debt servicing. Now these are two exactly opposite options, right? It is the investment made by foreign institutional investors in government securities. Nowhere does it mention FDI, FPI, it is only restricted to government securities. It can be government securities, it can be non-government securities also, right? So D gone, A gone. Now see the way your concept is tested. What do you need to answer this question? To know exactly what is FDI. Are facts required कि कितना FDI है? Nothing is required. Now what is the level of FDI, inflow, outflow? Do you need to remember that? You don't need to. But you should know that it is a foreign direct investment as a capital and not as a loan. If it is as a loan, then it is a debt servicing component. If it is a capital, you are investing, you are becoming the owner basically. So today, now Zomato IPO happened. So once you get the Zomato shares, you become the owner. You are not giving Zomato loan. Yes or no? You are investing in Zomato, which means you are becoming the owner. You are a partner in the ownership of the company. So do you think Zomato will take your money as a loan? No, it takes your money as a capital, as an investment. Okay? It will give you returns in terms of dividend and appreciation. Price badega, 80 ka 100 happens, that is appreciation. But it will never give you interest on that share, yes or no? So it is largely non-debt creating. Now look at the way the option is constructed, largely non-debt creating, which means some exceptions might be there. So this is a sign of a good option. Okay? Largely non-debt creating capital. I am not saying ki because of that you mark B, I am just saying ki this is a sign of a good framing, because we are going to see bad framing a lot in the next questions. Isliye it is largely non-debt creating capital flow. Is it a capital flow first of all? Yes, it's a capital flow. It is not a revenue flow. You know difference between revenue, capital. Non-debt creating means what? You don't have to repay it back. Who doesn't have to repay back? The business doesn't have to repay back to the owners. Yes or no? But bank se loan liya, it has to repay to the bank as per the duration, right? The only time during which business has to repay back its capital to the owners is during liquidation of the company, during dissolution of the company, and that too most often money is not enough. तो ही तो liquidate हो रहा है. If money was enough, then liquidation की जरूरत नहीं थी. ठीक है? Unless some merger and all is happening. So it is largely a non-debt creating capital flow. Did you understand? Yes or no? Right? See, I know some of you might be confused or some of you might not get it exactly, but the thing is to explain FDI and FPI and FDI, I take minimum half an hour, right, to show entire diagram and all, and we can't do that yet. So the logic behind this is FDI is not a debt creating flow. It is a capital flow. It is an investment in the share capital and not as a loan. Had this been bonds, had this been debentures, had this been loans, then it would have been a debt servicing, because उसपे interest है and you have to repay it back in the respective maturity. But this is equity. This is equity capital which is flowing. Okay? Next, read this very quickly. Are we done? Now, commercial paper is a short-term unsecured promissory note. Now, what you are expected to know that it is a short-term instrument. You might not remember that it is an unsecured promissory note, which is still okay. Okay? By the way, this is a very easy question. This is the, you see and you mark the answer. This is that type of a question. I will show you how. So, you should know that what are money market instruments you should know. Commercial paper, repo rate, treasury bills, certificate of deposit, these are all money market instruments. So that is all covered in books. So this is nowhere out of the blue, nowhere a tough question. Okay, but you might not know whether it is unsecured or not. So you might be confused if one is right or wrong. Okay, let us move to the next. Certificate of deposit is a long-term instrument issued by RBI to a corporation. There are many things which are erroneous in this statement. This statement in its entirety is wrong. Certificate of deposit is usually a short-term instrument issued by banks, commercial banks. है ना, उनके पास जो deposit it comes, they issue a certificate against that. So second statement is definitely wrong. This is expected to be known. When second statement goes wrong, second goes here, second goes here. So you are left with 4 only or 1 and 3. Options make the question easier. So even if you don't know unsecured, you will arrive at the answer. Don't worry. Okay. Third, call money is a short-term finance used for interbank transactions. Yes or no? This is the first instrument which is discussed in money market. Call money. Notice money, I hope you remember. Call money 14 days, notice money 14 days के बाद, right? ठीक है? चलो, you know 3 is the answer. You arrive at C. You mark 1 and 3. Still, fourth में भी आपको मिलेगा answer. Zero coupon bonds. What is coupon? Coupon means interest. Zero coupon bonds are interest bearing. खत्म. Statement wrong. आगे का जितना भी हो, doesn't matter. Zero coupon bonds are interest bearing. How can? Because they are zero coupon. You need to know what is zero coupon bond, and that is covered in every book. It is not new, right? Zero coupon bonds are interest bearing short term bonds issued by scheduled commercial banks to corporations. Whoever will issue, we don't care. Zero coupon bonds are not interest bearing, we know that. 4 is wrong. Answer is 1 and 3. So all the ways lead to 1 and 3. This is where UPSC is leading you to the answer. And the previous question WPI CPI wala we saw, no matter even if you eliminate 2, you are still left with 2 options. Right? 1 and 2, 1 only. So what is the answer here? What is the answer? 1 and 3? See, 1 and 3 is the answer, right? One trend I would like to inform you, since 2019, see, the traditional chapters are monetary policy, fiscal policy, banking, taxation. These are all traditional chapters. These have been heavily abused by UPSC in the exams from 2013 to 2017. Various questions are asked. Now UPSC is moving towards some unconventional areas, like markets. You will see lot of questions on markets, like finance. We will see questions on interest coverage ratio and all of those ratios. UPSC is increasingly going towards certain practical areas. I hope you are getting me. Practical areas. Markets is a very practical chapter and which is often not studied by students. UPSC knows this. Okay? And see the level of difficulty. Very easy. Basic understanding you should know here. Right? So please revise markets chapters. Please revise the practical infrastructure chapters, right? Public sector infrastructure, those chapters which are normally mains ke liye we keep. Please revise those very well for prelims also. And markets pe to I want you to give special attention, because now IPO season is there, startups are increasing, everyone is investing now because of COVID, everyone opened their Demat account and started investing. So there is a lot of awareness about markets. So this section gets more importance. Please listen to me, read markets chapter, read current affairs about markets, the conceptual part, not the ki market aaj upar gaya aaj niche gaya, the conceptual part very well, because tomorrow question might come ki a bullish market indicates an upward trend. Simple hai, but bullish and bearish pata hona chahiye, which is given in books. So please revise that, don't ignore that. But at the same time UPSC might repeat banking again. है ना, तो traditional chapters तो we have to do, but we have to think. So in 19 and 20 I will show you 4 questions which have come from markets, total 19-20 में, and पहले very few questions were coming from markets. So this is a new area for UPSC as well, right? Next, read this very quickly. Did we do this in our lectures? We did, but in the exam this is very difficult to solve, because you might not remember this. Trips सबको याद रहता है, everyone remembers trips, but very few people remember trims. Read this, try to read this. Now I would rate this 5 on 5 on difficulty level, because you simply cannot guess anything here. The question is such you cannot guess. I mean, in fact, if you have an option, then leave this question if you have no idea about it, because this is a very tough question. I'll be very honest. It's a very tough question. Trade related investment measures, right? Now, by reading the word investment, you might think 3 is right. I mean, you might think they are concerned with regulation of foreign investment because they are asking about trade related investment measures. Plus trade happens in goods as well as services. So you might feel that this is right, they apply to investment measures related to trade in both goods and services, but it is wrong. It applies to only trade in goods. This is a very, very, very tough question. Quantitative restrictions on imports by foreign investors are prohibited. This is absolutely right. But the problem with this question is that it is so tough that you might not even know, right? And you will feel that they are concerned with foreign investment because investment naam hai. So some guesswork you will try to do. Yes or no? Are you understanding this? So this is a very tough question, and I'll give you an example of what comes under TRIMS. The solar content requirement, domestic solar content requirement in photovoltaic cells. use Indian only in making the solar cells, and use Indian cells only in making, use Indian material only, and minimum 30% should be used Indian. So local content requirement, all of that comes under TRIMS, and that is prohibited. So quantitative restrictions on imports हो गया ना, because if 30% mandate of you, if you mandate India का use होना चाहिए, which means automatically imports, if you were earlier importing 100%, now you are importing 70% because 30% you have to mandatorily use Indian. That is a quantitative restriction on imports, right? By foreign investors are prohibited. So now they are prohibited, and they are not concerned with foreign investment. They are concerned with all these measures, right? And they apply to trade in goods only. Very difficult question. You should leave this question, to be very honest. If you guess and get it right, it is very good. But if you guess and get it wrong, then that is bad. Okay, the answer is C, 1 and 3 only. They are not concerned with investment, and they are, this is true, restriction on imports. And why this is wrong? Because it applies only to goods and not services. So that is why this is wrong. Next, read, very easy. Finally, we have a question which we recognize ki UPSC type hai. Finally. Chalo, I am not going to waste much time here because this is very simple. This is expected to know. At least my students should know this, like ऐसा आँख बंद करके. ठीक है? The only twist here is not do. That is the only twist here. Because do they have asked many times. So now not do. थोड़ा tough करना है. Expansionist policy you have to follow. Expansionist means what? You have to reduce all the rates, increase money supply. So what you will not do? Increase the rate. Simple. बाकी cut है. Right? So you should know what is MSF, what is SLR, what is CRR, repo rate and bank rate, not CRR, bank rate and repo rate. Okay? And you should know that if you want an expansionist policy is a dear money policy or cheap money policy. What can we recollect? It's a cheap money policy, which means rates are lowered, money flow is increased in the economy, barriers are lower, and then enjoy. So what you would not do? Increase the barriers, increase the MSF. Answer is 2 only. Finish. Next, आगे बढ़े. Very simple conceptual question. ठीक है, B. What is MSF? Do we recollect what is MSF? Over and above LAF window, marginal standing facility, extra money required at a penal rate, MSF rate, bank rate, long term rate, repo rate, short term rate, SLR, fractional reserve requirement along with CRR. Right? Next. My favorite question. See, in the exam this will be difficult. Honestly, in the exam this is a bit difficult. Now you might feel it is very easy. In the exam it becomes difficult. See, whenever you see the word money supply now, whenever you see the word money supply, I'll give you a tip. Wherever in the exam you see the word money supply, immediately recollect M1, M2, M3, M4. I hope you know M1, M2, M3, M4 in order of liquidity, narrow money, broad money, reserve based money, M0 also. Immediately go there. And then now try to think what will happen. I have given you a hint. Now try to think. It is a question from money supply chapter. And this is there in NCERT, yeah, by the way. This is 12th standard introductory macroeconomics NCERT wala. What is the most commonly used method of money supply? M3. Remember broad money, M3, aggregate money supply. M3 में क्या क्या आता है? What all things come in M3? Demand deposits also come, currency also comes. So if you withdraw 1 lakh in cash from your account, what will happen to M3? It will remain unchanged, or it will increase, or it will reduce? It will remain unchanged. Why? Because you are just changing the form. See, currency plus demand deposits is total M3. So when you are withdrawing from your currency, when you are withdrawing from your bank account, when you are withdrawing from your bank account, demand deposits reduce, but currency in circulation increases. Yes, and see the way they are framed. What is the immediate effect? Immediate effect क्या है? What is the long term effect? Immediate effect is to leave it unchanged. What is the long term effect? long term effect will increase it by more than 1 lakh. Why? Because that money will go to someone else, then credit creation will happen. That someone else, you will pay 1 lakh to someone else, he will deposit in his bank account, bank will keep some of it for as reserves and lend it out to someone else, then that someone else will keep in another bank account, he will pay to someone else, total money supply would increase. Okay? But short term में immediate effect क्या होगा? Leave it unchanged. Is it okay? Is it understood? Very good. See, when we talk about money supply, don't think in currency terms only. Money supply is whatever is there in your bank account also. So whenever you get money from someone, you keep in your bank account, that is also money supply in the economy, right? Why it is called as supply when it is stored in your bank? Because bank is using that money to lend it out to someone. It is still in supply. You cannot see that. Okay? It is still in supply. So this is to leave it unchanged. Next. So many questions from economy, na? Just imagine, so many questions are coming from economy in 1 year. Now, before you start thinking a lot on this is a very poorly drafted question. I told you I'll show you a poorly drafted question also. This is a very poorly drafted question. Non-financial debt is a very common term when it comes to commerce and economics field. Non-financial debt is very common. Are they asking in context of insolvency bankruptcy code? Are they asking in context of normal economics? Are they asking in context of government, non-government? Are they asking in terms of financial, non-financial? क्या पूछ रहे exactly? Non-financial debt is a very broad term. So there are various interpretations here. So वैसे तो if you see all three are non-financial, all three are financial. ठीक है? वैसे technically all three are financial, right? Now non-financial debt includes which of the following? One interpretation is that non-financial debt is those debt which does not carry any interest. Does housing loan carry interest? Yes. Does credit card outstanding carry interest? Yes. Does treasury bill carry interest? No. They are zero coupon in nature. I hope you know this. And this was tested by UPSC in the previous paper, so don't worry. ठीक है? So ये तो हो गया. तो whatever is the interpretation by UPSC, some interpretation is also that government is not financial. So these two are financial, 1 and 2 only is the financial, 3 is not. But 3 only be option hai, 1 and 2 is also the option, 1, 2 and 3 is also the option. Okay? So this is a very tough question. You should not think much over these questions because the context of the question is not clear here. So see, the point is out of 100 questions, I told you will find 4, 5, 6 such questions. But don't worry about them. Focus on the rest 95. We keep on complaining about those 5 to 8 questions and lose focus on the remaining 92 questions. Focus on the 92 questions which are there, which are coming from current and from book and all. Okay? So this ka question, iska answer is, it can be 3 only, it can be 1 and 2 only. Kuch bhi ho sakta hai. That is why I have marked question mark. Next, read it. Read the next question. Now it seems difficult, right? It seems difficult, right? One secret tip I'll give you to score bonus marks, brownie points in prelims, only specific to prelims. Always do past year questions, multiple times. See, some of you might be doing it once or twice and think, I have seen it, I know the answer. Knowing the answer is not the objective here. The objective here is to know what is the, how the question is framed, how the options are framed, and with reading questions, you will know a lot of facts which are already asked by UPSC. Do you know the answer to this first statement is already given by UPSC in a previous year question? If you knew that, immediately you arrive at 2 options, right? So the previous year question was that who gives the maximum credit to agricultural sector? Okay? And the answer was commercial banks, right? And यहाँ पे तो they have asked commercial banks and regional rural banks. Commercial banks plus regional rural banks combined more than that DCCBs are giving. First of all, you should know DCCBs in the banking structure, which is okay, which is there in books. Again, it is there in books. District central cooperative banks are there. Okay? So there are 3 tiers of banks: district, state, district, and PACS, Primary Agricultural Credit Society. So you should know that commercial and regional rural banks give more credit, and this is there in economic survey also, give more credit than this thing, right? But normally what happens, economic survey we don't read because it comes in Jan. So next year का कब पढ़ोगे, कैसे होगा normally. So even if you don't read or if you keep it for mains, let's say you kept it for mains, Jan में आया, June में exam है, you did not study, you thought that you will study it after the prelims for mains, even if it is past year question में the answer was that scheduled commercial banks is highest. Scheduled commercial banks plus RRB, say highest DCCB, is it possible? It's not possible. So one gone, answer is 2 or neither 1 or 2. Right? Now this is again, if you know, very good. If you take a guess, very good. If you don't know, you have to mark something here. One of the most important function is to provide funds to PACS. Now someone might argue that it is not a refinance agency, so how it will provide funds to PACS? Okay? But this is the most important function. That is why they are in a hierarchy. State Cooperative Bank, District Central Cooperative Bank, and Primary Agricultural Credit Society. So state supports district, district supports PACS. So the answer is B2 only. There is no logic, there is no analysis here, definitely. This is solved from past year question. And this happens, and this is applicable for every subject, and not only economics. Many questions in culture and history are based on past year questions in some or the other format. So always, see, this is the success why those easy marks are can be achieved. You know, this is the reason. If you lose on these easy marks, you will find it very difficult to cross the cutoff. These are easy marks. Not this question, but the analysis of past year questions. Okay, answer is B. Next, read this. See what they have asked, interest coverage ratio. You might not recollect. See, newspaper में तो आते रहेगा. It will keep on coming somewhere or the other. But do you think you will be able to recollect? Not always. Okay, this is a finance term. Technically, it's a finance term. Okay. What is the importance of the term interest coverage ratio? So interest coverage ratio actually is nothing but how much is your income and how much loan you are taking, उसपे कितना interest is you have to repay. For example, your income is 50,000 per month and the loan that you are taking or you are going to take from the bank, on that the interest is 10,000. So your income is covering the interest expense 5 times, है ना, 50,000 upon 10,000, yes or no? So that is interest coverage ratio. Banks use this to see ki how much loan are you demanding, sir? What is your interest? What is the interest on that loan which will come, and how much you are earning now? If you are earning 10,000 rupees per month and if you take 1 crore loan which has a 1 lakh rupees interest, do you think bank will give you the loan? It will not give you. So it shows how much of your income covers the interest, how many times, or less than 1 time also, 0.5 times or something. It helps in understanding the present risk of a firm that a bank is going to give loan to. Yes, because if the interest coverage ratio is very low, okay, then what happens? Then bank will not give, or bank will charge a higher rate of interest because it is risky. Because sir, you are earning 50,000 rupees per month and interest ही आपका 40,000 per month आ रहा है. So you know savings भी नहीं होगा. It will be very risky for you. It helps in evaluating the emerging risk of a firm. Yes, it also helps in evaluating the emerging risk, because normally interest coverage ratio is not calculated for 1 year. It is calculated for past years also. So bank sees the trend कि अच्छा your interest coverage ratio is going down, which means next year more risk might happen. So emerging risk भी हो सकता है उसमें. Correct? The higher the borrowing firm's level of coverage ratio, the worse is its ability to service. No, higher the better. 1 lakh income, 500 rupees interest. तो कितना times है? Multiple times है. So no. So answer is 1 and 2. Is this okay? Sir, where to cover these concepts? I know they are difficult. Okay? Some logic is applicable. If you don't have any idea, then you can leave it. Depending. If your 85 questions are already done, then you can leave it. If not, then you have to mark something. You have to go 85, 90 के आसपास in the range. It's a tough question. It requires some wordplay, interest, coverage and all. But even if you don't know it, it is fine. I mean, it's a finance concept. It is not that. Sir, newspaper में आया था, तो 100 things come in newspaper. We don't recollect everything. 1 and 2 is the answer. Next. Now this is the question which should be left by people who don't want to take any risk. Okay? This is a question which should be left by people. It is better that people leave this question. It is much better that people leave this question. Because this is something very rarely known, and who will know this? Unless you are working in cyber insurance or insurance sector, you will not know this. Yeah, there might be one editorial or one article in the newspaper which spoke about this and uske upar this question has been made. But do you recollect all the editorials you read? Suppose you read 200 editorials total in your life. वैसे तो one paper has 3-4 op-ed pieces and everything. Even if you read 200, you will not be able to recollect even 25 of them. So ये कैसे solve होगा? ठीक है? So there is no way of solving this. I mean, see, answer देख के तो anyone can justify कि हाँ UPSC has given B answer, so we can justify कि yes, this is the answer. But cost of new computer if some miscreant willfully damages, if proved so. Now this seems yes also, this seems no also, because if proved so लिखा है, which means कि they are trying hard to make it a positive statement कि yes, this might be true. So you don't know. Actually, to be very honest, you don't know. ठीक है? This question is very difficult to be solved. So normally cost of restoration is covered. Normally cost of restoration is covered. So 1 is there everywhere. 2, 3 get eliminated. Okay? Okay? Now this might seem false. Cost of defense in the court of law. This might seem false. Why? Because if you hire a very high level attorney, उसका fees का insurance company भरेगा. There are so many permutation combinations here. Right? So it is better. So whatever is the answer key given by unofficial answer keys, we have taken that as B. But UPSC answer key we will wait for B 1, 3 and 4. Cost of new computer they don't give, that is written in the policy document. But are you going to open the policy document and all? No. So just forget about this question. See, we should not waste time on these questions. But that RBI wala question, expansionary monetary policy, commercial paper question, that if it goes wrong, then there is a problem. This if it goes wrong, there is no problem. Okay? Next. Read. (2020) was a question full of interpretation type questions. Public investment पूछा है ना, investment. Investment means some big expenditure, something. So can I say computerization of PACS is a big investment we have to undertake? Yes or no? So 2 है. So what is eliminated? B is eliminated. Then cold storage facilities can be a big public investment. Yes or no? So 6 is also there. So this goes, these 2 remain. So 2, 3, 6, so 3 you don't have to worry about. Social capital development है नहीं, you don't have to worry about. Now 2, 3, 6 are by default there everywhere. क्या बचा है? 1, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 4, 5. Can you consider free electricity to farmers as an investment or is it as a subsidy? Is it a capital in nature or revenue in nature? These are all revenue. If you notice, waiver of agricultural loans by the banking system, these are all temporary relief measures. They are not investment. See, investment is something which you do for a more permanent term or which you do for a more longer term. Are you agreeing with this? Investment is something which you expect to get a lot of benefits out of. It is like you are investing, you are planting a tree and then it grows and it gives you returns. Free electricity might give you return. Farm loan waiver destroys the credit culture of the economy. Okay, it is not an investment. It is a temporary band-aid. It is not a solution. It is not a medicine. It is just a temporary band-aid. Right? Fixing MSP for agricultural produce of all crops. All crops. right? MSP also leads to inflation many times. So see, guarantee nahi hai ki we are discarding any option or taking any options, or we are saying this is definitely true or not. But the essence of these three options, because see, you have to take 1, 2, 1, 3 and 4 together. 2, 3, 6, sorry, 1, 4 and 5 together. So MSP, free electricity and waiver of agricultural loan. This you have to take together and see, because option ही वैसा है. So together the feeling comes कि it is more of a temporary solution, not an investment as such. Yes or no? So hence we go with 2, 3, 6. Did you get this? We eliminated one option because of 2 and we eliminated one option because of 6. So 2, 6 दोनों में है. 1, 3, 4 have to be read together now. Now don't distinguish between 1, 4 and 5. 1, 4, 5 have to be read together because they are appearing in the option together. 2, 3, 6 are there in both options, so you don't have any other choice, right? So we will mark C as the answer. Next, read this. Again a very interpretation based question. See, anyone can come and argue कि sir ये भी तो हो सकता है. I agree. This can also happen. But something you have to mark. Many questions asked in 2020, very few questions asked in 2014 in economy. Hardly 5 questions. Price rise in India in recent past, which means it's a current thing. So which means you need to worry about not this question but current trends which will appear in the next exam. So now in these type of questions, in current type of questions, you have to see what they have asked. Factors affecting the price of rice. So currently oil prices are rising. So you can say factors affecting price of oils can come in the next exam, right? Look at the way construction or structure of the question is done rather than the question ka content itself. Okay. Now see, one thing we know, government stockpiling and MSP affects the prices. Definitely they affect the prices. So 1, 3 hai. 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 by default becomes correct. Subsidies also affect. Now 2 ka question hai. Government trading. Government trading means they are speaking about OMSS. Remember open market sales scheme, OMSS. I hope you remember it, right? 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, MSP and stockpiling, they definitely affect the prices. ठीक है, recent हो कभी भी हो. Stockpiling affects because that is the reason for stockpiling to regulate the prices. Officially, it is said that it is to ensure smooth availability, but then it is also used for price control. Stockpiling हो गया. MSP also affects. MSP is raised, prices increase. MSP is lowered, prices are lowered. So 1, 3 है. 1, 3, 1, 3. 4 by default correct. 2 पे you have to think. Government trading. Does government trading affect prices? Yes. OMSS में if it sells a lot of goods, prices will come down. If it does not do OMSS, if it keeps on adding buffer stock, shortage होगा कभी ना कभी and prices will increase. ठीक है? See, they are not saying price of rice increased or reduced. उसके factors नहीं पूछे. General factors of price of rice affecting. ठीक है? So we will go with D 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Next. Have we discussed Kisan Credit Card in our lectures? Have we discussed MSP and all these things in our lectures? Hint, I will give you a hint. Before reading the first option, there is a hint. Before reading the first option, there is a hint in the above 3 sentences. What is the hint? Can you identify the hint in the first 3 lines? Short-term credit. Now read the options and tell me. Short-term credit, short-term credit. Now read. Short-term credit, Do you think you need short-term credit for this or long-term credit for this? Long-term है house, cold storage facility, long-term credit. 5 eliminated, 5 eliminated, 5 eliminated. Answer is B134. Let us try some other thing. Combine harvester, tractor, mini trucks. Short-term credit पे नहीं मिलेगा ये. Eliminate 2. 2 eliminated, 2 eliminated, 2 eliminated. Answer is 1, 3 and 4. Are you getting this? This and exam mein na, you forget to read this. In a hurry, you forget to read short-term credit. This is the keyword here, short-term credit. Right? Now you might think consumption requirements of farm households are personal requirements or personal money is also given under Kisan Credit Card. You might think ki for farming it might be given, but for consumption, on their own consumption, diya jata hai ya nahi? Yes, it is given. Right? ठीक है. Working capital, sir, what is working capital? It is short term, day to day requirements के लिए whatever you need for your day to day business or activity you are doing, that is working capital. Is it okay? Is it understood? We eliminated long term ones, long term ones. Even if you eliminate 2, you get to the answer. Even if you eliminate 5, you get to the answer. Yes or no? Answer is B. 1, 3 and 4. Next. Read this. क्या है ये? What is this? So many questions, na? 2020 paper, almost 22 questions. 1/5 of the paper is coming from economics and agri. Just imagine, if you are weak in the concepts, it becomes a bit difficult. Then you have to be strong in all other subjects. And being strong in subjects like culture, environment is a bit difficult because predictability is very low. Rule number 1 of solving MCQs. Always pay attention to extreme words. Extreme superlative words. Always pay attention to them. They are red flags. See, they do not give you a definitive answer, yes or no, but they are red flags. What are the red flags in the first statement? Can you look at the definitive or extreme words? All cereals and unlimited and any state. So many red flags are coming up. ठीक है? Right? And we know that MSP is majorly the MSP program is brought for buying cereals. Other crops are also brought. I know that 23 crops के लिए MSP is declared. Majorly cereals and उसके लिए रहता है. They are talking about cereals, pulses and oil seeds. Right? ठीक है, चलो. You declare MSP for all of them. Unlimited in any state of India. Do you think unlimited होता है MSP? The procurement is unlimited. Do you think unlimited government can procure? If unlimited government procures, what will happen to the food subsidy? It will balloon up. Remember economic cost and all. ठीक है? So first statement, we think it is wrong. Sure नहीं है, but we think it is wrong. In the case of cereals and pulses, the MSP is fixed in any state at a level to which the market price will never rise. कोई sense है इस बात का? Any logic in this statement? Look at the statement. They are saying MSP is fixed at such a level to which the market price will never rise. It is a minimum support price. I hope you know the full form of MSP. It is a minimum price. If market falls below its average levels, then this is the minimum. They are saying that it will be set in such a manner that market cannot go above it. Never rise. It is not a maximum support price. It is a minimum support price. Right? And यहाँ भी दिया हुआ है. Minimum support price. So 2 is definitely wrong. 2 is definitely wrong. 2 gone, 2 gone. Answer is either 1 only is the correct or neither 1 nor 2 are correct, right? But these are throwing all the red flags. Even if you are not sure, ठीक है, चलो, you are not sure of it. What is the higher probability? Red flags being wrong statement or right statement? Probability किसका ज़्यादा है? Being a wrong statement. So always, when you are not sure, but you know there are red flags, or you know that the probability of red flags being wrong, or you know red flags showing the statement in a wrong light are higher, then please mark D, neither 1 or 2. Don't mark 1 only. If you are sure that there are red flags but still this statement is right, then mark 1. And there are few questions where extreme statements have proved to be right. There are some questions. We will see. But ये तो definitely wrong है. Never rise. तो फिर MSP maximum हो गया. But this red flags are there. Probability of this being wrong are higher. Probability, statistics. Go with D. कहाँ जनरल स्टडीज से स्टैटिस्टिक्स की एग्जाम दे रहे हैं ना हम, यूपीएससी. ठीक है, राइट? सो ओवरऑल 22-24 क्वेश्चंस वर देयर in 2020. Big chunk of the syllabus, yes or no, from eco and agri. And most of the questions were interpretation based in 2020. I agree with it. They were not so straightforward. They were something weird, not found in books, etc. But at least we discussed 6 or 7 of them which were found in books. Yes or no? That 7 ka 14 marks I want every one of you to have. One question also out of those 6-7 easy questions should not go wrong. Not even one. Okay, and in 15-16 so majority of the questions are such easy questions, so they will give you marks.